Jerry says that there is no previously on for the DVDs.
All right. Well, there you go. All right. I just started the recorder. And unless anybody has any questions, we're going to dive in. And the name of this episode is episode 10. The name of this episode is That'll Do, Pig. That'll do. You all know the drill. We're going to all press our play buttons on the count of 3. 1. Oh, and by the way, yes, I have the Remarcus timer open for anybody worried about that. All ready? 1, 2, 3. I mean, look at that slush. Look at the slush on the side. I mean, it's just so good. It's so good, that snow.
Yeah, and on the trees and the bushes, it's everywhere. So pretty.
And like I said, all different, all of it, different types of snow.
It even looks like there's salt down on the sidewalk.
Yeah, they probably did put real salt on there because that's easy.
Even the roads look icy, or the steps.
Yeah, they're all
like
wet. They would literally between takes, somebody would come out with a hose and just hose the entire street.
That is so cool.
This is what Maine looks like about 6 months of the year.
Y'all, I want you to know this is my favorite episode. Like, I love
Of the entire series.
The whole series, the whole shebang. This is it for me.
That's cool.
I think
is this a fan favorite?
I would say it's pretty up there. I think you're gonna like it a lot.
Now I'm excited.
Is Kirk in this episode? Well, I guess I'm not going to spoil myself.
Paris is in La La Land.
I would like them to develop that love story a little bit more. By the what? By the Jew power?
That's what she said.
That is what she said. My caption said Jew.
I don't get that joke.
I don't either.
Puffs.
Does anybody know about the Waco Ranch in Texas?
Oh, yeah. I still don't get why Paris is so hostile to her, given her power.
I think she's hostile to everybody.
Had they decided that they weren't part of the puffs? I never got that. Did they tell them that they weren't allowed in it? They didn't go through the ceremony or what?
Yeah, I guess we never really got the resolution of the puffs, did we? That's sad. That had so
Never
much
really
potential.
got mentioned.
The puffs had so much potential.
Okay, I went to a teeny tiny rural school, but let me tell you, we had sororities at my school.
We didn't have that at my high school, but my daughter's high school had it.
Oh, I love this.
It is really cool. Paris looks happy. I like that. Happy and relaxed.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, more than happy, I love seeing her relax.
I want to know what he accidentally said.
That's another MacGuffin.
I'm looking at Emily's hair.
Casual Emily.
I know. I could unbutton.
I love her sweater.
I just looked it up, and apparently Michelle said your country is full of ugly people.
Oh my goodness.
Wait, how did anybody know that?
I just Googled, like, what did he say? And apparently you can hear what he said, and someone just, like, that knew what he said translated
You
it.
could actually hear what he said. Okay, got
Yeah.
it.
That sounds like something to say, though. Dean just let himself in.
Do we see the spider or not?
I think you kind of saw a little bit of something there, but who knows? It could have probably just been like a plastic spider there.
I never really took the time to look. My arachnophobia is pretty high. Because she's lived on her own for like 16 years, raising a daughter, and she never took her own spider out.
Luckily, she doesn't live in Australia. We have the deadliest spiders. I think that might have taken the desire to look at Australia.
We have deadly spiders here, so I stupidly think every single spider I see is that kind of spider. So I'm terrified of spiders.
Kendra, that sounds totally rational.
That's in denial Rory again. I remember that Rory from season 1.
I mean, it's a dilemma, isn't it? She loves Dean, but she, cares for Jess more than she did Dean, but it still sucks.
Yeah, but just take time from your last relationship and kind of process it and move on.
Yeah, she kind of jumped, so she didn't really give herself that time.
Exactly. Once upon a time, I made a YouTube video, my favorite Gilmore Girls kisses. This made the list, this whole scene.
Jess does say it's some of his best work.
This is a little excessive. Am I the only one who feels it's a little excessive, like right at the gazebo?
In public.
I mean, I don't really have a problem with PDA, but like, I mean, that seemed a little excessive.
Oh, they were walking and making out. Like they couldn't even stop to kiss. They just had to keep walking and kissing.
I was about to say, these kids are going to get hit by a car.
See ya.
Foil.
These all feel like things that you'd get at the 99-cent store.
They feel like white elephant gag gifts. And yet she found bags and bags of clothes for Luke.
I was just thinking that.
Well, she knows Luke better. She's a better relationship with him, and so she's not so nervous to find him a gift, probably.
That's a good point.
John, would you rather have someone surprise you with a gift or ask you what you want?
Oh, surprise me always. I feel like when, like, I can buy my own gift. Like if it's something that I already know I want, I'll just go get it. For me, gifts are about being surprised, not really about the gift.
I agree. I'm with Lorelai on this. I think Rory cheated.
See, I think Dean and Rory should have just had this as a relationship. Just like having coffee and being nice.
Kirk.
Add this to the jobs list.
I wish I was making note of them.
Yeah, I was gonna say that we should have been keeping a tally.
I have a full list of all his jobs.
Kind of feel like he's doing what Jess did, but just in a nicer way.
Dean got like 10 times more mature as soon as they weren't dating.
I have a question for definitely talking about afterwards. I'm wondering if Dean is like regressing back to what he was before Rory, or if people see this as moving forward, because I can kind of see it both ways. I'm curious what people think.
That's a great question. I can't wait to dive into that after.
I love this dynamic. I love this dynamic way more than when they were dating.
I think it's a little early to be friends.
Yeah, I think Dean just misses Rory too much.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's very clear he would really like to get back together with her.
Definitely.
But also just keep in mind, we're watching these in a much more compressed fashion. Like, I mean, for me, I'm like, gosh, they broke up like 2 episodes ago. And, but, you know, when this first aired, like this was weeks before, you know, this next scene. Not that that isn't still early. That's probably still early. It just, you know.
And I think this episode was actually our first, like, after the Christmas break. So we had the Thanksgiving episode and then this one. So we had, time-wise, a couple of months, and even show-wise, probably a couple of months, too.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, because Thanksgiving, end of November, and now...
Hey, John.
Wait for it.
Ooh.
It's Trex,
Like,
the thorn in the side of the planet.
Delightful creature.
Oi, oi, oi.
My favorite wasp.
I just love how much of a mama's boy Richard is.
Oh, John, listen.
Oh no.
I know, I feel bad for Emily.
Wasn't the corn wasn't the whole corn thing in our trivia from last season? Did she already mention corn in the last time that we saw her?
I think that might have been an accidental spoiler in the trivia.
Yeah, I don't think this is
I
the first
think
time.
so too. Uh-oh.
I think she was hinting at renting her place out in Hartford to some people, but it was never revealed who it was going to be. Now we found out tonight that it was corn. So, yeah.
I think all of us should get points for that question. Tia, I think you need to retabulate.
Does anybody ever notice how dirty Emily's car is?
Is that snow?
I don't know. It looks like mud to me, but it always bothered me because I don't think they would have dirty vehicles.
I think it maybe it's supposed to be like snow or like salt that like washed up on your car when you're driving down the street.
I would think, yeah, they would have a garage.
Are they gonna do a vote of no confidence?
Yeah, from here it looks like frost.
Steady cam. And you can just see the whole thing kind of wobbling.
I don't think she's capable of this defense mechanism.
Yeah, she just isn't Lorelai. She could never do that. That was great.
What do you think is going to happen, John?
In regards to that storyline?
Yeah, with the whole pup leader and Rory Harris.
I'm thinking that France is going to get the upper hand, and that that Rory is going to, at least for a moment, regret it.
All right, Graham's going to see the house.
They're not a very affectionate family. Like, they never hug each other when they say hello or goodbye.
But Lorelai will hug Rory, you know, she's affectionate.
Right. I love this part so much.
This is awesome. She is a force.
This is great.
I really like Trix but I tend to like the characters that other people don't like.
I totally dig tricks.
I just want to thank whoever decided to cast Marianne Ross as Trick. Best casting decision, I think.
She's amazing.
I love how this is like the most awkward conga line ever.
Whoa.
So pretty.
Do they tell that girl to sound like she's 5?
Yeah, it seems like she played that a lot younger than she is.
Is there something wrong with that girl? I mean, she's like 15 years old. She's talking.
I don't
like
think she's 15. I think she's supposed to be like 11 or something.
I think
But
she's
she's
going.
talking like she's 5 years old.
Those band uniforms are like special. I was in band, but our uniforms
Ew,
are much better than that.
We had feather tops. I love her outfit.
Kendra, you missed our whole marching band coach discussion. Me and Diana.
I was in marching band, but I didn't have to wear those uniforms because I was in color guard. But our uniforms were much better than that.
Yeah, I was in color guard too.
I was in winter guard, but I marched by mellophone.
Milo has the best hair.
Well, well, well. If somebody isn't doing the jealous thing that we were criticizing Dean for.
To be
I was just gonna
he's
say-
a little quieter and nicer.
Of talking about jumping to conclusions, and here I feel like this. Oh,
Exactly, not trusting her.
Dean has never done anything bad to me. Seriously. Oh my.
He was a pretty good first boyfriend.
I don't know if mine.
I have to admit, Lily, I love you. I love the audio on your microphone, but it's so throwing me off after weeks of a much more muted sound. Your sound is so good.
Oh wow. Yeah,
I
oh my. Yeah, I was using like my wired headphones and I'll use my wireless ones and I guess they're much better.
That's my favorite Suki moment ever.
Acrobatics, Suzuki. It's like the monkey lamp for the touch the face.
I love that Richard had food on his plate. He was just going to try to eat when she said that, and then he stopped. Ooh.
And this insecure thing does not look good on Jess.
Dean's really enjoying this.
I mean, he has a reason to be upset because Dean's being a idiot.
We'll talk about it afterwards. I'm not totally convinced on that, but we'll talk. Oh, really?
I love that.
Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. Before we dive into talk, I'm going to open up this couch. The couch has magically grown longer. We have lots of cushions up here for folks to come on and join us for a lively discussion on an episode that was a lot of fun.
Whew, I haven't been able to join in a while, so I'm glad to be here now.
Hey, Jessica.
Hi, Jessica.
Hi, Jessica.
Hey. John, can I ask you something?
Mhm.
At the beginning, when we first came in, I did my instinct of like touch for the hand, and you said that you had the couch turned off, but I could
Yes.
raise my hand, like I didn't have it red. And so then when you said you opened it, I was like, oh, I wonder if I should take my hand down and then raise it again.
Hey guys.
Do you know how that looks like?
Hey
for anyone?
guys.
When
Follow me on Instagram, please.
and
Segum, did you watch Gilmore Girls too?
Hello.
Sangam, were you or Lijo, were you watching the episode with us?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Anybody follow me on Instagram?
Well, I'm ready to dive in if anyone else is ready.
It's not
to
that
dive
kind of room, Leo.
Yeah, it's not that kind of room, Leo. It's a specific thing about a watch. So if you're not here for the show, please don't try and pick the girls up.
Damn, Chris! Yo, Chris has to say. Chris has to say. You know what? I'll just be myself, just like Chris did the talking.
Coral, did you watch with us?
Oh yeah, I mean I've seen the series 16 times, so I've watched this episode a lot.
Damn, Chris.
Newbie. Like
What?
I'm
sorry.
like,
Damn.
Thanks for joining us.
It's not.
Welcome. No, I thought it was funny. That's why I'm saying damn.
Damn.
This is April. I want to know how you make the microphone blink to talk, because I couldn't figure it out yesterday.
So your little
you
microphone.
just tap
it again.
Yeah, you just tap it over and over again, just slowly. Just tap it on.
But
off,
I thought
on,
it
off.
made your whole. I thought it was supposed to make your whole circle light up, and it didn't do that.
That's if you start talking.
Yeah, your circle.
Yeah.
Talk.
Oh, okay. So I just sit there and touch it.
Yeah, just tap and tap.
Yeah,
and
you just tap it. You just tap
And
it.
if you're me, you go like bananas. But that's just how it is.
I mean, hey.
I thought there was some special thing I was supposed to be doing. So
No, but
it's no fancy things.
Welcome, Carl. It's a learning experience.
Thank
Apparently.
you.
yeah,
All
welcome.
So
Where
let's
do you
start.
speak from?
Are we ready?
Coral, where are you joining us from?
So it took me a minute to. Well, actually, you mentioned starting this whole Gilmore Girls rewatch thing, and it was before Clubhouse opened up to the poverty-stricken, so like people who had Android phones. So I couldn't get it. So I was like, okay, well, let me just wait. And then as soon as I got a Clubhouse, I completely forgot to join your watching Gilmore Girls thing. And so Keiko and Gina was like, hey, I'm going to be on with John. I was like, wait. Are you talking about the watching Gilmore things with John? And I was like, okay, so let me join. So I just joined today. So this is my first episode I watched with y'all.
Oh my God.
And I wasn't
Thanks so much for
coming. You, Coral, at all. I was not directing that towards you. I'm sorry if it came
Oh.
across this way.
Oh, no, you're completely fine, because I don't think I heard the comment that you said. So if it wasn't directly at me, I did not hear it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just said it's not that kind of room, and thank you, Chris, for taking it farther, because I don't think he understood what I meant.
Yeah.
Right.
Someone to say something, but I'm like,
I know. I was just staring at the dude's icon. I was like, this dude's kind of suspicious.
I got an instant feeling of like I don't feel comfortable
I mean, he like came in and said, "Follow me on Instagram," and I was like, "No, go away."
Yes, and that is who my comment was directed towards. That's,
I mean, it's
Yeah.
it's entertaining when that happens because it brings a laugh to everybody.
The last one was more.
Every time.
sorry,
Oh, my
John.
bad.
I'll go back to just listening now.
All right. So let's dive in. Let's dive into this pretty packed. It's a packed episode. Let's unpack it. Where should we start? Do we
I
want
know
to
where we
start
should
on
start.
everyone's favorite Dean and Jess discussion?
Yes, please.
Yes.
Yeah.
Please.
All right.
Yeah, I'm a Jess lover, and I never make the Jess episodes up here, so I missed it.
Jess, you go then. You start,
Yeah,
I'll
Jess,
follow.
why don't you start on some of your thoughts on this?
and I'll follow.
I'm just gonna go with what I think it was Lily that said it, like, or maybe I don't know which one of you it was that said it. That the way that Jess handled his jealousy, which they both have an issue with jealousy, but the way he handled it was a lot nicer than Dean because he waited until everybody was gone and then talked to her about it himself and not like started yelling at her in front of everybody like Dean always did. But it's always been funny to me that Jess is very obviously not going with her. And so as soon as, is there something wrong with her? And Dean show up. He's like, oh yeah, I'm going. And it bothers me because we know already that he wasn't planning on being there with her, but I probably would have done the same thing if I was going to leave my girlfriend there with her ex, like, oh yeah, no, I'm coming with you. But
I mean, I think
I'm
he
just
trusts
glad
her.
he
He
waited.
doesn't trust Dean.
Yeah, he waited around until everybody was gone to talk to her about it, and that's a little bit of a difference between the two of them.
I mean,
Yeah.
the thing that Jess has about him that is like the one thing that is so Jess is that he doesn't seem to care. And now suddenly he's very insecure, and it's a little, I don't know. I don't think it looks good on him. Personally.
I mean, he has something to really care about him.
John, I actually was going to ask you something. So do you remember earlier in the scene where they're like making out in front of the gazebo? I don't know if you heard some of the dialogue because I know we were kind of getting a little chatty over here, but it's when Rory was trying to convince Jess to go to the winter carnival, and he was kind of like, no. Did you hear what he said? Like the comment?
I might have, if you refresh me, maybe I will have. What did he say?
So he says, I don't go to these stupid town things. And then Rory says, you went to the Bit of Basket Festival, you went to the dance marathon. And then Jess says, that was when I was trying to get you. I now have you. That means I don't have to go anymore. And then Rory
okay. I didn't get that. There must have been some chatter, but I mean, I think that's interesting because that's not his behavior the rest of the episode.
Well, he was jealous because Dean was going to be with her.
Okay, I gotta chime in. So
Yeah.
I was actually, me and Charlie were actually talking because I dipped out for this episode. And I mentioned that with the comment that Regina just made, like that was like the sole reason why, if we're going back all the way to the dance episode, everyone was saying that like, oh, he went there to antagonize Rory and he and all of that. He literally said that he went there to get her. Now, was this execution right? Not sure. But that's the reason why he went. And another thing that I was talking about.
Oh, wait. I'm sorry, Tasha. Now I know what you were getting at, Regina. Sorry. Okay, now I understand. Go on, Tasha.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's why I put it out.
Okay, and so I was also saying how Jessica actually said this too. So that's funny. And I said, see, isn't there a difference between Rory explaining something to Dean versus explaining it to Jess? And he doesn't yell at her, he pulls her aside, and like she almost has to like, and I do this thing all the time where it's like you have to have like reassurance. So she was like, are you sure you're not mad? Type thing. And he was like, will you just throw the ball? Meaning like, he was like, I'm not mad. I just wish you would have told me. And that's the thing that I love about.
But I don't believe him there. I do
Well,
believe he is mad.
Let me finish.
And I think like he's a little bit pissed, yes, and we'll see this more as the season goes on like how they differ with like finding things out and things like that. But I think like if Jess wanted to get mad, he would have, even though Jess is not that type of person. But he is that type of person to make a scene if he really wanted to, but he doesn't want to do that. He doesn't want to be like Dean, and he wants to like be himself, and so he's not like gonna get after her because of that. And I don't think like he's necessarily insecure. He may have been like a little bit nervous that like her and Dean were gonna be together and things like that, but I don't know, maybe he is insecure. I could be wrong, but
I think he's insecure. I think he's jealous. I mean, I guess that you can argue that they have a slightly different way of approaching it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not completely sure there either. Rory is legitimately nervous around Jess in the same way that she was nervous around Dean early on, because she can kind of sense that like, not necessarily that he's going to get mad and he's going to become, like physically dangerous to her. And I don't know, to be honest, never felt that about Dean either. I think that it's the same, it's basically the same thing. She's afraid that like, that Jess is going to make it sort of hard for her, in their relationship. Based
think of her history.
that his insecurity and jealousy over the matter is going to make it hard for her. And that seems to me very similar to what was going on with Dean earlier.
Part of mine was, again, I didn't finish earlier, that whenever you start a relationship with somebody while they're in a relationship with somebody else, what's that going to put in your head whenever they're around other people? That's more why I feel like Jess is acting that way, not like he's just extremely jealous, but like, hey, well, I was able to take you from somebody else, now somebody might be able to take you from me.
That's
yeah,
very true.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
What were you going to say, Carl?
Oh, I just agree with what Jessica was saying. Like, that's very true. That was the thing that I noticed on the first watch of Gilmore Girls, and Jess's actions after he got Rory. It was mostly based on the fact that like, well, Rory was with Dean, and now she's with me, and now Dean's popping up again. She could literally get swooned back into this guy because I got her. So it did kind of feel like that. And I also have to think about it because I think I was watching Gilmore Girls the first time, like that season, like in mid-2005. So I had to think about it back in the day and like how men and women thought of each other in relationships. So it kind of helped me understand why Jess did what he did and how he was acting in season 3. But yeah, I agree with what Jessica was saying. And also like with Tasha's explanation, it is like a really good understanding of like how Jess is feeling and all of this.
You have Mary and April flashing, and Kendra.
April, why don't you start, and then we'll go to Mary, and then we'll go to Kendra.
Okay, my thing is I think all three of them are insecure in their own ways. I mean, Rory was insecure at the very beginning. She was very insecure with Dean at the very beginning of their relationship even. She didn't even know how to say I love you to Dean at the very beginning of their relationship. She couldn't express that to him. And she's been very nervous around him from the very beginning. I mean, she's just very nervous in relationship to begin with. So she's insecure. And so that's just the thing for her anyway. So when somebody's upset, it seems like she takes that on to herself, if that makes any sense. And what I think that we should talk about is what I noticed was when they're in the coffee shop, when her and Dean are in the coffee shop, his demeanor is completely back to how it was before they actually started dating, when they first met. His personality is calmer and it's less, I guess I would say, maybe possessive than it was when they were actually dating. He seemed much more possessive, worried, obsessive about her time, things like that when they were dating. And he kind of has let go a little bit now that they're not dating. He wants to have her back. And so now it's like a way to kind of win her back, that he feels like if he's, lets go a little bit, he can win her back. And so this is, you'll notice that his demeanor, his personality has changed a little bit. He's calmed down some in this coffee shop situation when they're trying to be quote unquote friends, which we all know that he probably doesn't necessarily want to be friends, though, if that's all he can have, then he'll probably settle for.
I find him to be, I don't know, maybe I'm in the minority here. I get that he's not nearly as on edge as we've seen him. By the way, not constantly throughout the last 2 seasons. There have been plenty of times where we've seen Dean, even in season 2 when Jess arrived, where he was, to me, seemed perfectly calm and enjoying his time with Rory. But I feel like he's seen, and this kind of goes back to the question that I believe was it Liz that you asked about, has he reverted back to who he was before, or has he sort of progressed? I found him to be quite sheepish in this there at the coffee shop, whereas I remember in season 1 he was cool guy, in the hallway, standing there smiling, giving her, telling her about Moby Dick. He was our bad boy. He was our bag boy / bad boy, and here he was all kind of nervous and kind of giving a little kind of cute little smile, and I don't know, he didn't seem to me personally didn't seem anything like he did before they started dating. I just remember a much cooler guy. Mary.
I was going to say the main difference between Jess and Dean is that Dean sort of wears his heart on his sleeve. So I know we give him a lot of flack for the yelling, but and rightly so. But Rory always knew where she stood with Dean, and Rory could read his moods because he was open with her about them. And it's true that he became possessive and so on, but I feel like that happened after the breakup. I feel like before the breakup, he was the Dean that we saw today. He was laid back. He did things that he talked to her and actually opened up with her and all that. Whereas, I kind of feel like he's gone back to being himself because he was sure of himself. And that a lot of what we didn't like was when he started becoming nervous about first the state of the relationship after the breakup, and then because Jess was in the picture. The difference, though, is that Jess is passive aggressive. Jess doesn't yell as often, but he's always seething under the surface. And we saw today that Rory doesn't know where she stands with him. And unlike Dean, Rory has known Jess for almost, let's say, a year, at least since last season, where she didn't know Dean at all before she started dating him. And yet it was very easy for her to get to know him and read his moods. And yet after a year of knowing Jess, she still can't read his moods, and she still can't tell what he's thinking or what he's feeling. So that's my warning sign that something is off there, because passive aggressive can often be far worse than just, oh, I'm going to yell and my feelings are going to be out.
Interesting. We had Kendra next, and then I see Diana flashing. What's up? Was somebody?
Yeah, and I was going to say Rachel was also flashing with Diana after Kendra.
Okay, great. So we'll go Kendra, Diana, Rachel, and then I see Lily flashing. We'll do Lily after Rachel, and I might chime in occasionally. I'll try to pop in a little response if I can.
Okay. I have no idea if what I noticed about this episode and Rory specifically has anything to do with her change in relationship, but I've always attributed it to she's not with Dean anymore and now she's with Jess. I've always noticed in this episode, I noticed her growth. She seems more confident, more sure of herself. And we see it several times throughout the episode. She seems more relaxed to me when she's with Jess, but also when she confronts Francie. And I've just always thought it had something to do with the boyfriend, and it may not. That might just be my take on it. And it might just be her getting older and maturing. But one of the reasons this is my favorite episode is I feel like Rory is really more self-assured and confident and coming into her own. And I love witnessing all of that, like when she takes Francie on. Like, I love that part. And when Francie's talking to her, I love the Gidget reference because I love Gidget, but that's besides the point.
That was a good reference.
But that's what I've always noticed about it, and I may be totally wrong. And I don't have a team, so I don't prefer one boy over the other. So I'm not, biased in that way.
I think Diana was next, and then we were going to go Rachel, and then Lily, and then Tiffany. I see you flashing there.
Yeah. Both Mary and Kendra agree with everything that you said. What I was going to say is I really, I bump up against the idea that Rory can be stolen from one person to another. She has autonomy here, and I think Jess plays by those rules, and that's pretty immature, in my opinion. But Dean kind of doesn't. I actually think what Dean says to Jess in that scene is that he knows that that's Jess's game, so he's saying it just to get into his head. Because I don't actually think from the coffee shop scene that Dean actually thinks he's got a chance with Rory ever again. But he knows that's what Jess is playing with. He knows that's his operation, and we're completely ignoring the fact that it's not either of their decisions. It's actually Rory's, and she's made it. And I think Dean knows that. It's, at the end of the day, he knows that she is a person who is capable of making her own decisions, and she chose the other guy. So I really, really don't love this idea that we're saying that she can be stolen back. It's kind of well, no. We see from that scene with Francie that she's completely capable of making a really tough move, and we can see that she is making moves for Paris, for her in Paris, and it's pretty risky, right? So I would love to talk about that more, or hear from other people about that dynamic more, and also the Emily stuff, which is so great in this episode.
Yeah. Why don't we do Rachel, and then Lily? I'm guessing that you probably wanted to chat more about this Dean and Jess thing, but I think it would actually be great for us to shift, if we can, to some of that stuff about with Rory and Francie. Also, I mean, come on, we got to talk about Tricks. I mean, yeah. That was just, so much fun.
It was fun. My heart broke for Emily, though, when she's all excited about the gift, and then Richard drops her hand right away when Trix has basically a better gift than what Emily got him. And just now she's moving there, and Emily, you can see her panicking. And I love that Lorelai tries to give her a defense mechanism, but I just don't think she is capable of that at all. I do like how Lorelai handled her mom's headed to her house and criticizing her, and instead of a big blow up, she's trying to help her mom, hey, this is how you can think of it, where I think in the past she would have been it kind of would have led to a bigger fight. And the only thing I wanted to say about not to beat a dead horse, the only thing I want to say about Rory, I do like how Lorelai at the end, when Rory says, oh, we're all friends and it's all going to be great, and Lorelai basically laughs at her because it's not. So I just wanted to say that.
Coral, did you want to say something? I saw you flashing your mic.
Oh, I just wanted to say, with just this episode, more so in regards to Emily. Oh, by the way, Rachel, I do agree with that. I love that Lorelai laughed at Rory about that because it was stupid and silly. It was like, oh, you're such a child. I really did like this episode of Emily because it just reminds me of how wonderful watching Emily's journey throughout this series is. Like, it really, really makes me appreciate Emily Gilmore as a character and like what she's done and everything. I mean, like some of the things I didn't like that she did, but just her relationship with Trix and how it affects like her relationship with Richard, and then like her standing up against Trix with the food. Like, I'm not done. It was just really, really nice to see, and definitely like a nice contrast storyline to the Rory Dean Jess triangles thing. So I just wanted to note that like this episode was a really, really good episode for Emily, and just like see how she goes and like her journey throughout the show.
Personally, my favorite moment was that scene where Lorelai was trying to help Emily get over Trix by explaining to Emily how she gets over her. I thought that was just such brilliant writing.
Yeah.
I think Emily's pretty strong, and she won't go the Lorelai way with that. But if she has Richard, though, she has to keep it together for her. So he treats Trix better just because of, Richard.
We have Veronica.
Veronica, I see you flashing your mic.
The end of my lunch break, so I'm gonna go. But I wanted to leave you with this thing because Gran said, Corn were really nice tenants, and I don't know how many of you guys are fans, but I actually met Ted from Corn, so Brian Welch, and he is the nicest guy. So I can believe they plan a show.
Oh,
I
wow.
bet that the writers know that. In fact, my guess is that they actually do know him, or that they've heard about him through the industry, and that was part of it.
That would be awesome. Have a great day, guys. Bye.
You too, Veronica. Bye.
Bye, Veronica.
John,
I love this episode as well, and I love when she turns to Rory and Rory says, "Have a good time." She's like, "Nobody finds your sarcasm funny." I mean, it's just like normally she just wouldn't say that kind of stuff, but she's just I love her in this episode. I love
Emily.
Yeah, I love Emily.
Yeah.
In this
I mean, yeah, this was definitely like I've been saying, I'm kind of going back and forth here on which of Emily or Rory, which of them is my favorite Gilmore Girl, and this episode kind of Emily kind of took the lead on Rory.
Yeah.
Even though I really love that, I love that scene between her and Francie. I thought that was really great. I wasn't crazy about her about the interaction stuff with Jess and Dean and all of that stuff. I don't know. There's something about it that didn't quite sit right with me, but I loved the scene with Francie and her. I love the way it was written. How it just didn't end. Like the little quips that they were doing as they were walking out. Like it felt like, we've talked about the rule of threes, where like in comedy or in all forms of fiction that this sort of like really great like rule of threes where they do things 3 times and the third time is sort of the button, and they just like threw that out the window. They just like it kept going and going and going, and like Rory just refused to let Francie have the last word as she was going out that door. It was so wonderful. Anybody have thoughts on that?
Oh, did we have to go back to Tiffany? I'm sorry. She was flashing earlier. I didn't mean to take away her time.
Oh, yeah, Tiffany.
No, it's okay because it was mostly about like the Dean thing. So, no, I can say about the Francie and Rory thing. I actually love the Heather's reference. Like, what's your damage, Gilmore? That was one of my favorite movies.
Oh yeah, gosh, that's a reference. I mean, that's from a very particular generation.
Are you calling me old?
Yes.
Well, I'm calling me old too, because I mean, I'm like very, very specific. You know, I feel like you know, there's like Heather's, then you get Jawbreaker is the next one. What's the one after that? Mean Girls, I guess. You know, it's like every generation has its Heathers, and ours was Heather's.
There was a Heather's reference before at some point, like Lorelai says to Rory, "Oh, you're the new Heather."
Oh yeah.
Right, that's
When,
right.
Like it's the whole Paris Madeline, it's the Chilton Mean Girls thing, and Paris is being like ousted or something. But I always pick up that Heather's reference too.
I can totally see Amy like really digging Heather. So.
Oh yeah. Oh, definitely.
It's a vibe.
Does anybody else have any thoughts on that Rory Francie scene?
April and Mary are splashing. They may.
April and who?
Mary. Mary.
All right. Why don't we do Mary first, then April, because they were in that order before.
I was going to say, John, you asked about why Paris is so hostile to Francie, and I think it's exactly because of what happened in the Puffs episode, that she realized, like, okay, I thought being in the Puffs was going to be the way that I get ahead and whatever, but clearly I'm not. So she's just treating Francie like any other person who's in her way. Like, she doesn't acknowledge her power anymore because she doesn't want to be in the Puffs anymore.
Oh, she doesn't want to be in the Puffs anymore because didn't like her whole family go through the Puffs, and she's like, and Puffs were like, you know, Puffs have like great influence in society. It seems odd that she wouldn't want to be in the Puffs.
But they got caught, and they were almost going to, like, that. Those antics almost ruined her like future because they were talking about suspension and all sorts of other stuff. So I think, like, in terms of Paris has moved on from that, and she is technically, I don't quite understand their student government, how like what's her name, Francie is lower than Paris, but like the way that they set it up, Paris is now the head honcho, so she doesn't need.
I get that. I totally get that. I get that anybody who Paris sees as having, you know, having average status, I guess you could say, or certainly lower status than her, she treats horribly. The part that I'm still having a hard time reconciling with is this idea that the Puffs, just because they were caught in that thing, suddenly all its long history there at the school and its relationship to her family and all of that, like that suddenly all of that would just like evaporate all of a sudden, and she'd be like, "Oh, you're nothing," because I mean, I don't know. That one I haven't ever really completely gotten it. It's still, I understand what you're saying, but it still doesn't quite sit right with me. I don't know why, and it's not because of the idea that she doesn't treat people with status like poorly. It's the fact that I just don't know why she wouldn't find the Puffs still important, given the fact that they were caught and all of that. No, it's just me. We'll do April, then Coral. I saw Coral flashing as well.
I kind of agree with you, John, as far as the Puffs thing not being important, because I remember, if you guys remember back to that episode where they got caught, supposedly Rory was the only one that wasn't going to get in trouble for that particular incident. That didn't mean that Paris and the other one that they weren't going to get in trouble. Rory was the only one that was going to be, that there was going to be exception for her, that they talked about an exception for her because of her situation. But they didn't say anything about Paris having an exception for her situation. So she could be angry too if she got in trouble for that, you know, because that could hurt her chances of Harvard or something else too. It's a possibility. I mean, I'm just putting that out there. But as far as the Francine and Rory scene, I love that scene. I think it's incredible because she basically paid her back. It was the same was the same basic scene, only turned around on her, because if you remember originally, that's how Francie pulled her, and she pulled her into the bathroom. She tried to hand her gum. You know, it was the same situation, and she just did it in reverse, and, you know, and just stood up to her, and it was like, go Rory, you know. You know, she's grown some guts, and she really is coming into her own. You know, she's got some strength, and she's showing that she's, you know, not going to put up with it, you know, that she's not going to put up with somebody just stepping all over her or anybody else that she cares about. And it shows that she kind of cares about Paris too, which there was a time when she didn't have great feeling about Paris. So yeah, it's kind of interesting to see where things are going, because her and Paris are becoming actual friends. They're actual friends now, and it's kind of interesting to see where this is going. But anyway,
Coral.
So yeah, like I like what you said there. But just to answer everyone's kind of like feeling about just Paris rejecting the puff is kind of, I just saw it as Paris rejecting the puff. Too long don't read with that, because number one, they treated her like dog, like garbage. And number two, when they got caught, well, she got reprimanded for it. She had to be held accountable. And she also saw that their power didn't really mean much. So I think what she did with the rationale that she does in her head, like what she did when she, well, I don't want to ruin it for everyone, but when she wasn't accepted to that one school,
no spoilers. Don's not.
No spoilers. No spoilers. Although that.
Yeah,
like. Although
yeah, like no spoilers.
I might be able to get behind, because I've got a theory about that.
Okay, cool. Because like after
yeah,
she went to the other one, she had a whole rationale on like why it didn't matter that she wasn't accepted to that other one, but the one that she got in was so much better. So I think that's what she did with the puff, and like her status of like kind of the student body president. Like, well, I'm student body president. I don't have to be a part of the puff. F this, you know. Like she kind of rationalized it. So now she just doesn't care about Francine and her status and everything. She sees Francine as less than and an enemy, because Rory used to be her enemy, but now Rory is her friend, and now Francine is her new enemy. And I also think that was done so then Paris could have an enemy. So then kind of like for comedic standards and something that happened at the school. So I wouldn't be surprised if Amy Sherman did that, just like put Francine there as an enemy. But yeah, that's kind of my take on it. Like that's how I saw with Paris just like not really caring about the puffs anymore.
So the idea is that the student body president, in Paris's eyes, is just way more valuable than being in the puffs. Like maybe it was even something that like nobody in her family even was able to do.
Yeah, like I think, yeah, that's it. Because like for her, she's like, I'm student body president. I don't have to be a part of dingbats. You know, like I really think that that's how Paris would think about it once she became president.
Got it. Okay, I think I can get behind that. Who else was flashing? We've got T and Lily. Why don't we do Lily next and then T?
Okay, so I mentioned this like probably a few episodes ago or something, but my sort of like theory on why like Paris no longer was sort of like as enthralled with the idea of the puffs being like the most like elite thing that she could ever be part of was like when Rory stood up to the headmaster, because he was like, you need to socialize and you need to, and Rory was like, well, I don't even want to be a part of this group and whatever. And because Paris in a weird way, in her Paris way, really respects Rory and really respects her like, you know, opinions, probably sort of, that was probably one of the reasons why, or one of the reasons that she sort of realized that the puffs aren't really as like magical as she thought they were. I mean, and also another part of it would be that Paris was just like, Well, I got caught, and no, I'm trying to like get into like Ivy League schools, not get caught for this little like clique that it just treats me like garbage. But I think what started it was her seeing Rory be like, yeah, this doesn't matter at all to me. And I think Paris just respected that and respected Rory's opinion on that.
T?
Well, before I go into my opinion, is it Coral or Carl? How do I pronounce your name?
Oh, it's Carl. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, absolutely. Carl.
I have to admit, I was doing something kind of in between that I felt like if it's Coral, then it works, and if it's Carl, it sort of works.
No lie, y'all are the first group to actually ask if it's Coral or Carl. So I give you mad props for that.
Absolutely. I just wanted to for coming tonight because I'm really loving your energy that you're adding to the room. I think you're hilarious. But as far as Paris with the whole Puff thing, I don't know if you remember her episode when she was getting inducted into presidency, and she was like quoting Noam Chomsky, and she's like, "It's kill or be killed." And I think that she just kind of has this alpha female mentality about her right now, where she kind of is taking ranks, and she's not going to be that meek and docile girl that was in the cafeteria trying to get puffed.
Yes, I completely agree with that, T. It does seem like Paris definitely thinks in absolutes. It's either this will happen or it won't happen. And I think that's kind of what happened with the puff. So yeah, I remember that Noam Chomsky thing because it always makes me laugh.
Yeah, she was funny there.
Maybe it's that I just really want to be a Puff.
We're gonna create a Puff team just for you, John.
I think I'm like, well, how could you not want to be a Puff? I mean, this just seems like most
exciting. Francie and everybody else. Really easy not to want to be Puff for that.
No, I'm kidding. Well, half kidding. I kind of want to be a Puff. Yeah, I mean, I love all of that. I'm really hoping that there's more of these bathroom politics. I mean, I feel like these are like House of Cards. Like this is the closest to House of Cards that the show has gotten. These like political backroom deals, and I just love these scenes, and I just hope they don't go away. I'm starting. I have to be honest with you. I'm starting to get nervous about losing children. I'm going to be totally honest. Like I can already feel that we're closing in on the end of the school year, and that I'm going to lose all of this. And I know that something else comes to replace it, but I'm already starting to feel my anxiety rise about that.
But aren't you glad that it looks like Dean isn't going away?
Yes, I am. Thank you for asking. I am. Yeah.
Oh boy.
I'm Team Dean. I'm Team Dean. Sorry.
Oh, we know.
Carl didn't know though. Carl didn't know. He's just
Carl didn't.
Not them going, oh, we know, with disappointment.
By the way, Carl, look at Regina's avatar when you have a chance. She's down in the second row. It's fantastic. And Regina was also flashing.
Oh yeah, Regina, I do face swaps for a living, so I want to redo your avatar for you, but I need a better picture of it. That way.
But
yeah,
the whole point is that it's funny because it's poorly photoshopped.
Oh no, but it's great.
Yeah, I mean it's like the angle. It's like the angle is just completely off. I mean, it's so poorly photoshopped that it's just epic.
You're roasting me.
Two different colors.
It's
all right,
Regina Gill.
Regina, you wanted to say something.
Oh, okay. No, it was just like something a little unrelated. It's because you mentioned politics, and so I want to get back to that ranch in Texas joke that we talked about earlier, because someone mentioned the ranch in Waco, Texas, with the Branch Davidians and stuff, and I was thinking about it because I had to let it sit with me for a while, and obviously, like, I was like just a mere baby when this episode premiered and stuff, so I'm trying to think back, like, what the political landscape was like and, you know, as a political science major, as I do naturally, and I thought it was in reference to the Bush Ranch house that George W. Bush had in Texas. That was like mere miles away from
the governing bushes.
Was it in reference to the Bush Ranch?
I always thought it was, even from when the show first aired. That's who I always thought they were referencing. I mean, I am older. I wasn't a teenager. I was actually somewhat aware of politics at the time. So when you guys said the Waco, Texas thing, and I was on the beanbags, I'm like, no, that can't be right. That can't be right.
Well, not only that, like I don't remember the Waco. That I don't remember it ever being referred to as a ranch. It was always referred to as a compound.
Yeah.
And so the ranch, ranch. It's like around this time, the Bush Ranch was like a big thing. Like people were talking about that a lot. So that doesn't surprise me that they would have put that into the show, and that's what he would have been. That's what they would have been talking about.
Good connection, Regina.
Wasn't there also a cult also?
Well, yeah, the Waco compound was like the Branch Davidians were the cult led by Dave Koresh. Like I've watched so many documentaries on them, so like I was so confused as to like why that would be made as a connection, because I like the poli-sci mind of mine is like, wait, aren't they talking about the Bush Ranch? Because I think, hold on, I'm trying to find the transcript where Paris says, Madeline says, yeah, you said that there was no way to govern, that meeting once a week was lazy, ineffectual, and if we were going to do it like that, we might as well just buy ourselves a ranch in Texas. So I just thought that was like a slight by ASB to George W. Bush.
Yeah, that definitely that was what it was. It had to have been.
Yeah, because I was like, I don't think it makes sense to talk about David Koresh and the Branch Davidians. But
Well,
you know.
the politics are, so yeah, it does make sense.
Yeah, but that's all I wanted to say.
Did you notice that they brought up the garage for the rehearsal space? This is the first time they're talking about the garage of Lorelai's house.
I know. That's exciting. I have many memories in that garage.
It will now exist when it hasn't before.
Well, it already sort of exists in our minds.
Yeah.
It's cool. I'm excited. It's weird because I actually, my memories of that garage are from seasons where Gil has already joined us. And so I actually, my memories of the garage in season 3 are pretty hazy. I'm trying to remember when we even move into the garage, or.
Yeah, it must be soon because we're halfway through the season and it's the first time it's really brought up, so to say.
Well, I mean, I guess it would make sense, right? Like it'll probably be in our next episode that we'll be in the garage, because
spoil ourselves.
No, I'm just guessing. Like we're not. No. I'm just guessing. We all have no idea whether or not the next episode with the band will be in the garage. But we're just guessing. We're just guessing that maybe that could be the case, given the fact that the rehearsal space was a big point of discussion with the band last time we saw them, and given that we've just talked about it in this episode, it seems reasonable that in the next episode they will be in the garage. And honestly, I don't have any memory whatsoever of what that's going to even be. I don't remember. The only thing that I kind of remember is that there is a scene, and I'm guessing that it is in season 3, that ends with me sitting on a stool doing like a couple of doing a bass line on a stool like that. That's like the button on a scene. I do remember that. And I don't know which episode it was. It might be the next one, or the next one with the band. All right, I'm actually going to start making folks moderators as I do, which is what I do right before I'm going to head off myself. That way the room can stay open and you all can continue gabbing as long as you'd like, and you can throw the spoilers out as much as you'd like. Carl, it was so awesome to have you here, really. I hope that you'll come back.
Thank you.
I really do, because it's true.
Yeah.
You just bring an energy to the room that we have been missing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I don't know if you've noticed, but you and I are the only two men on the couch right now. So just from that perspective.
So in other words, he just really needs you.
He needs your support, Carl.
He needs a man.
Although Tyler was, I'm imagining that he was on the couch with us because he was on the couch through Liz. And I like to think that there are some phantom men on the couch with us that are sitting next to some of you. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes.
John, I'm actually surprised that you haven't invited those two guys who have like a Gilmore Girls podcast. I don't even remember their names.
Demi and oh shoot.
Kevin. The Gilmore guys?
Kevin.
The Gilmore guys.
The Gilmore guys. Yeah. We're actually. I'm friends with those guys. They know about this, so they could pop in anytime they want. But if that's something that you all would be into, me actually making a formal invite to them, I have no problem doing that at all.
John, tell Carl about the Remarkable app.
Oh, Carl. So we have an app that we've created for this. You can get it at remarcus.com. And if you sign up for an account, we're just doing a bunch of fun things throughout this whole project. Eventually, I'm hoping that Remarcus as a larger community is going to venture into other TV shows and movies and IP. We're doing a bunch of gamey type stuff. Like I've already been like giving away like little digital badges, and we're going to have an in-game currency that people are going to use. I'm going to do like an auction like later in the summer where people are going to use this currency that we're going to be earning throughout the watch to like bid on actual physical tchotchke that I have here, like, just old Gilmore Girls memorabilia that I've been holding on to. And it's also where you can see the time code of the episodes. And it's just a good tool to have if this is something that you're digging and that you'd like to join us on for other episodes.
Yeah, of course. I'll check it out.
And if all of you would be into me reaching out to Kevin and Demi, I certainly would.
John, I just want to.
We're always excited for new guests.
Yeah, I think if you got Kevin or Demi, that would be, for me personally, a bigger get than literally anyone else on the show.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, well.
Several of their live shows, they're amazing.
Yeah, they are.
Here, I went to a couple too.
I would love to talk because way back then when they were doing that, I chatted with Kevin a bit about the show. I remember at the ATX TV festival back when we did the big Gilmore Girls reunion show or reunion panel. And and at the time, I remember we were chatting, and he just knew so much about the show, and I didn't know anything about the show other than little bits that I remember that I was in. And now that I feel like I know the show, like I truly know the show, obviously I don't know what's to come, but I feel like I know enough now that I can hold a conversation with him about it, and I kind of now would like to do that.
He's a giant Emily fan, so I think we could find you a good episode that he might really be into.
I'm also curious what his team is. That's another one. Do you remember?
Yes.
I remember.
Well, he started as team of We Have Not Seen Yet, and then he renounced it.
He ended on what?
He started as being team of The Boyfriend We Haven't Met,
and
then he renounced it about halfway through, and I believe he ended Team Jess.
He ended it with Team Jess. Okay.
Lincoln's against that.
Yeah, Lincoln is not happy with that. Lincoln, come on. We still haven't met him yet. You can't judge him until we actually meet him on the show. All right,
John,
everyone.
I just came up on stage to say if you got either of them, I agree. I would be so excited. I listened to every single episode of their podcast, and they're hilarious and amazing.
Oh, I will absolutely reach out to them like in the next like day or so. Certainly, I'll reach out to Kevin and just ask him like, what's your favorite episode? Please join us. You've got like a ton of fans here, including myself, that are just dying to gab about the episode with you, and I think that he'll be into it.
Nice.
All right, great. And all right, you all are moderators. With that comes great power. Please use it wisely, if you know what I mean. And I am out. I will be back tomorrow at 7 p.m. We're going to be doing episode 11 tomorrow.
Thanks, John.
All right.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Night. Night.